is our story. Her story. Her story is as true as any part of history, but it is hers. And so it is ours now, too. She lived about 200 years ago on land close to here in Durham, New York. She was independent in spirit back then, but back then no woman could be independent in practice. She, Eunice, was married young to one James Chapman. 15 years her senior, James had quite a reputation by the time he made Eunice his wife. Marriage changed things only for Eunice. She devoted her time, her care, and her love to her threadbare household and her eventual 3 children, George, Susan, and Julia. James continued to gamble, drink, and consort with other men's wives on his many trips back and forth to New York City. And when he did return home, since he had little else to give, he shared only his pain with Eunice. One day, when James was traveling back from New York City, he encountered a small religious group, the Shakers, or Shaking Quakers as they were known for their overwhelming religious zeal and service. The Shakers practiced the law of celibacy, not just for their religious leaders, but for all. Relations between men and women were strictly forbidden for everyone, forever. This meant that the only way the Shakers could build their flock for the future was by adopting families, especially those with children. Now, James was not seeking salvation, but he certainly was seeking the safety of the Shakers from his prior sins. All he had to do was give up his money, his property, his home, none of which he really had, and return to the Shakers with his family. So, he returned to Durham to speak with Eunice and share his good news. And this is where our story begins.
Eunice.
Is that not the specter of my husband? Am I not a ghostly vision for you? Use your hollow eyes to look at my tired composition. Your 3-year absence has illed me.
We need not speak of your physicality, nor of mine. You should be thankful that I've returned.
Thankful? Agonized, yes, but thankful, no.
Where's George?
He is not the matter. There are matters much greater as of your return. Our meals non-existent, our home bare, our families.
Worry not, my wife, for God has shown me our purpose. That is why I came.
You construct lies.
No, I speak truth. I come with great news.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, precisely. A gathering of people, the Shakers as they define themselves, have graciously allowed our flock to enter their society. You'll be free of earthly cares, Eunice. If you would but meet them, you would understand how our family would fairly thrive there. Further, I've had enough of your devilish complaining about a lack of food and warmth. It'll be in bountiful surplus there. At daybreak, you and I shall leave to meet them.
You throw too high of a request at me. My position is here as it has been.
How can you reach such conclusions without considering the unacquainted side?
James, your wit fails here too, as you never considered my side either.
Don't play games with me like before, Eunice. We're off tomorrow. That is final.
And where will the children lodge, if this dire need is not met?
Your sister Sally has claims to stay here and plans to do so. Prior to my arrival here, I spoke with her about our imminent departure.
Very well. If it is so, I will comply, merely out of curiosity.
The community of Watervliet, New York, followed the millennial laws. Now, James took advantage of these like everything he touched. The millennial laws insisted that all of the Shakers live separately from the outside world, which certainly gave James his shelter. And they also demanded that Shakers live together and yet remain celibate. And so men and women, or brothers and sisters of the Shaker community, lived in separate houses, coming together only for religious services and meals. Of course, our Eunice would have to find all of this out for herself.
You can't be over here. You have to go somewhere else, my dear. Is there a problem, ma'am? Oh, yes, there is, sister. Where is your white cap and bodice? Or do you not know where you are yet, my land? No, I'm Eunice from Durham. Well, for now, you are an outsider. You can't dine with us in here. You'll have to eat outside in the back. Go on. You best not get us all in trouble as well. James. 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 By God, I know you can hear me.
What, woman? You've already started trouble. Shouting only adds on to it.
Familiarity is not my strong suit here, James. I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure where to go.
Go to church like everyone else. We'll dance there to worship God. Our hands fly above and our feet ground into the floor. I can hear them screaming lovely sounds, can't you? Oh, and Eunice, we can't speak to one another for much longer. That'd be against their rules. You wouldn't want to disrespect.
But how will I know what to do? When can we talk about our departure? Please, Lucy, you must give them back. They're mine to keep, and you know that in your heart. You let me in, Lucy. Don't torture me like this. Oh, please, please, you know where she is. You know where they are. Who? Allow me to help you. You cannot help a poor soul like me. You'll think I've gone insane. The brothers and sisters claim I am. Insanity is different from grief, and I can clearly see you're not insane. Do you know where they are, or do you know where they came? Pardon me for interrupting, but who are you? Catherine Bonnell. I've come from New Jersey. Dear, why are your eyes rimmed with such tears? Allow me to help you. You are of no use to my circumstance. A year or two ago, these endless days seemed blurred. My husband took my children and I here. He promised us a separate home away from the brothers and sisters, but he changed. They changed. He advertised in the papers against me and stripped me of all the support that I had. He took my children and they are now living with the Shakers. I've lost them.
Catherine, thou must not come back here. You sicken our prayers with your crying.
I want my children. I demand it.
You cannot demand anything of us. You mustn't forget, we have fair ownership now. She is a most troublesome woman.
Troublesome. A mother is clearly suffering from a broken heart, and dismissing such feelings as those would be soulless. Is that not a sin?
A sin. Insanity is now contagious. You must rest, poor dear. Go to your dormitory.
May I speak with James?
Nay, that is against the Shaker code.
Yet I am not a sister.
I see. I will fetch him, but just this once.
Eunice, what is the matter?
We're leaving tonight.
The church. What a peace. These people have such joy. This is heaven on earth. Do you not see?
I have seen plenty. However, this is not the place for me nor the children.
This is where I must stay. I feel as I belong here. This is my duty to God.
Then let that be your duty.
But can't you see? I have nothing to offer these Shakers, not even money. If I desire to keep my stand here, I must bring the children back. They must become part of the society.
I refuse to let that happen. You'll have to make another arrangement.
I will not.
Then your duty will be elsewhere. I have made my free decision to leave tonight, with or without you.
Elder Seth, can I have a moment of your time?
Yeah, which is it?
I'm leaving at this hour. Eunice has allowed me to go back and get the children. She's a wild woman. Her outburst could turn for the worst at any moment. If she asks where I've gone, tell her I've gone to bed early.
Thou speakest the truth?
Yes, Father, from my heart.
Take a horse and carriage, then.
What have you got there, my dear? A pine cone. It smells of winter.
Oh, that's lovely.
Would you allow me tomorrow morning to take more and put them up by the hearth?
And why would you do a thing like that?
For decoration, I suppose.
Yes, my dear.
You're right.
Okay, children. It's getting late now. Up, hurry up now. Come on.
Sally? Who is that?
It's your father. He looks like he's up to no good. George, you're not safe here. You must leave. And take the girls along if you can. Do you hear?
Yes, ma'am. Come on.
Julia and I are afraid, George. We're not running.
Then hide.
James, what brings you here at an hour such as this?
Hello, Sally. I've come for the children.
Oh. Well, I cannot permit this demand without a consultation with my sister.
Eunice was the one who asked me to come here. She would have brought them back herself if, alas, her foot was not injured. Poor soul of hers. You look confused. You see, we live in Watervliet now. Eunice enjoys the Shaker scenery and life and wants to live there. Permanently.
I wouldn't dare believe that Eunice is a Shaker.
Oh, but a matter of fact, she is.
She would never. I'm sorry, but my answer is no. Good night, James.
Sally, you seem to have mistaken me. I'm getting my children. That is not a request. Wait here.
James, stop this!
You fight like your sister. Move out of my way.
No!
Where's George?
I don't know.
Your duty is to manage the children, is it not?
This is what I tried to do, yet you stand here in my way.
George! To what place may we have ran off? George!
Leave, my dear George. Please. No. Ignore him. Mother says not to exchange words with strangers.
I have spare change here, you see, in my pocket, and I will give you each a shiny penny if you do an old man a favor.
What favor do you ask of?
What are you doing?
Your mother's as tight as the bun in her hair. Let's do something nefarious for once.
This is an honorable task, my good young man. Please, help me find my son George. He's about yay high. If you do find him, let him know I won't take him back to the Shakers. I'd only like to talk with him.
Yes, sir. And if we do find him, what place do you want us to bring him?
Don't worry about that. I'll be back sooner than expected.
George.
George!
George.
George! Hey, I got him. Come here. Call yourself George. Maybe listening's his forte. Hey, you. Stand up.
What in God's name is wrong with him? He's sickly. I don't think he can speak.
That's him.
Your father worries of you. He begs you to return.
I will not go. He soils my happiness with his selfishness and his spite.
He says he won't take you to the place you're fearing. The Shakers? Yeah, that's what he said. No need to fear, George.
Trust in father is juxtaposed.
I got him, sir.
Ah, what a perfect evening this is. Here, boys. You gave me such a scare. Let us get back to the wagon, or do I need to carry you into the Ark of Safety and into Christ's kingdom?
Father, I'm not going to a religious sanctuary you feel is best for me, or may say is best for you. A promise you spoke from your heart, and I'll keep you at that.
Fear eats at your soul and steals bravery's sword. Your cowardice is disgusting.
Do not talk dull of me.
How disrespectful you've become. We'll soon change that. Julia and Susan are waiting in the brisk cold. Come!
I beg of you, have patience. Where is mother? I will not go without her.
Your mother's already with God's best servants on earth. Wipe those drooping tears off your face, boyish coward. I say, once again, come.
Mother!
The bitter chill and howl of night did little to slow James's journey. By morning, he had returned to the Quaker village with Julia, George, and Susan in his clutch. Eunice's journey was tortuous at best. The Shakers had pointed her in the opposite direction, and by the time she had figured this out, turned herself around, and returned to Durham, she had lost a week.
Eunice! I knew he was lying. How will you ever forgive me? I tried to stop James. James! What did he do to you? Nothing to me but your children. What? He said you were living with the Shakers, but I knew he was lying. I could see it in his black eyes. I tried to shut him out, but he was too beastly and strong, and he snatched the poor babies from my grasp. And George ran. However, I heard from one of the townsfolk that he did not make it far. What is there to do now, Eunice? Eunice, why did you let him in? You know just as well as I do that he would have managed his way into the house even if I didn't open the door. I'm so very sorry. Don't spend your days wallowing about this defeat. You know just as well as I do that his strength outweighed mine. There was nothing I could do. We're women. No matter if our strength isn't embedded in our physicality, it lies in the mind. That is the only controllable thing we have. I'm leaving. My children do not deserve James's cruelty, nor that corrupted place he calls his heaven. I'm by your side. You will never be alone in a world this ultimate. But my children will be. To feel alone in a mass of lives just because of people who don't understand you. That's the worst type of loneliness. There's more, unfortunately. The Casco paper. I hereby forfeit all persons harboring or trusting my wife Eunice on my account, as I am determined to pay no debts of her contracting after the date hereof. Signed, James Chapman. I've lost my privileges as a wife. How dare he shame you publicly like that and take away your name? He's afraid, no doubt. I'm terrified. I cannot seek public sympathy now. Or the churches either. They'll dismiss me there too. I'm leaving. I must go straight to the source. Eunice? Catherine Bonnell. Who's that? Eunice! Eunice!
Eunice journeyed once again to the Shaker village. Not to her surprise, James was unavailable for any conversations through the elders. Her children, too, were only partially hers. The elders kept an ever watchful eye on them and forbid them to ever leave. Determined that she would never leave without them, she stayed for months and months with the Shakers, always evading their strict rules. And one day, she did manage to confront James and demand to have her children back. James refused and brought Eunice immediately before the elders.
Here, Father.
Come in.
Good day, Mother Lucy, Father Seth, sister.
Oh, James, what a soul lives in you. Thank you for persuading the elders.
What? Why would I do a thing such as that? Father Seth, can you explain?
Mrs. Chapman, you have caused too much destruction in our community. The Shakers are unforgiving on this point as you repeatedly defy our rules. Now there is only one thing left to do, and that is to ask a single question. Do you want our faith?
No.
Let's go.
I offer a compromise. Allow me to live under my own Christian faith, and I will comply with all the other Shaker laws.
Impossible, preposterous. You cannot live with the believers until you have fully become one yourself. Your departure is overdue.
Eunice, you must leave at once.
Not without my children!
How dare you disrespect the elders? What a witch you are!
Get
Out!
Please, Mother! All I want is my children! You and I share that same heart, do we not?
I will not stand for your abuse here, sister.
Please, Mother! I beg of you! James, I am your wife! Help me!
You have the devil on your side. She is the most abusive and refractory of any woman who has ever come among us.
Agreed. But she will trouble us no longer.
Oh, no. Women of her kind never stop. She will be back. James must go to the community in Enfield soon to avoid her bothersome ways. And he must take the children with him.
I will send him tomorrow.
Sisters placed Eunice in a carriage, and they asked the cabbie to drop Eunice off where women who don't have husbands could earn a living. She was left standing in her rain-soaked stockings on South Pearl Street in Albany, New York. Abandoned. Did our Eunice quit? Did she give up? No. Instead, she befriended a Mrs. Andrews Cooper, who allowed Eunice to stay at her inn. Their friendship developed, and they soon became fast friends. She also developed other acquaintances, including Dr. Payne, who felt for Eunice. They urged Eunice to pursue the law, and that she did.
Mrs. Coopers, how are you this evening?
Well enough. I have a note from Dr. Payne. It seems critical. The act concerning the custody of children has been passed by both houses of the legislature. Divorced or women separated from the husband can apply for custody of the children. Is this fact? Yes, my dear. All of your hard work has gained popularity amongst the crowds, and it has swayed the court to let this bill pass. It gives women in New York a chance to hold their children again. Where is your emotion? Are you not pleased? God has put me through many trials, and even now I'm tempted to lose heart. Yes, I have won this battle, but there are many more to come. Why does God treat me so? Can't you see? They are gifting you, Eunice Chapman, and every other woman a legal chance to fight the unjustness in their lives. The trials to come are not just with God.
Indeed. I merely wish to help others too.
Court case will end your wishing.
Catherine Bonnell. Do you remember me speaking of her?
On numerous occasions.
I've started to write my own story for other women like Catherine to read. God wants me to do so.
Then do it if you must. A handful of people will stand with you in court.
But Mother Lucy has ties in that field.
Your mother?
Ah, no. The creator of the shaker, the puppeteer behind the torture, I feel.
Mother against mother? Will she stand in court?
No. She will make not an entrance.
No conclusions can be made until a few months later, Eunice.
A few months later. Waiting only causes my physique to over-ripen. Gray hair is already sprouting. Take a gander. Oh, my children, they must be getting so old by now, growing more each day. I wonder what they look like. If they think of me at night. Oh, Julia must have forgotten who I was by now. Poor lonely love. I feel for her, for all of them.
I feel for the mother who carries the heaviest burden of them all.
Good night, Miss Eunice.
Oh, let us be seated.
Would you like to?
Seems to be so. No matter. They know we come from far away. There's no reason to worry.
What about them? Should they worry about them?
Mrs. Chapman,
Behind her,
is that
Derek Vita.
backslider? I must confess that I was not prepared to see another rotten apple today. How dare he leave Watervliet? How dare he leave our faith and make a mockery of us? Sitting here in court today, he should be ashamed.
He never deserved our faith, Father, even when he was a believer.
Because of that, he will earn no place in heaven.
Let us sit. We mustn't cause an episode. That would only be the devil's cause. Father,
Yeah?
why is Brother James not attending?
No reason to invite devils either. Just as you say, brother. We mustn't cause an episode.
Trial soon started. And soon it was Elder Seth's turn to testify before the Senate committee. Eunice feared that he would defame her character.
Mr. Wells, I will ask you questions now. Is your name Seth Wells?
Yeah?
Are you part of the Shaker community?
Yeah?
Do you know a James Chapman and his family?
Yeah?
What was James' age toward the Chapman family?
James has made every reasonable attempt to take care of his family.
And what about his marriage? Was this a significant reason why there were tensions between Eunice and James Chapman?
I will admit they had marital issues, but if there is anyone to blame for the collapse of the Chapman family, for the reason why we are here today in an extreme, it is solely the fault of Eunice Chapman.
Were the children bound?
Nay,
Well, it says here otherwise. Mr. Wells, let us hear Peter Paxfield's testimony. I, Peter Penfold, do solemnly swear and declare that on or about the 22nd of December in the year of 1814, I went with Eunice Chapman to the Shakers to see her children and persuade the Shakers to give them up. I understood by them and the children, and also by their father, that they were bound by indenture. The children appeared to be very unhappy and cried and took on in such a manner that my heart ached for them. In the month of February 1815, I came to Albany, took Dr. Payne, Mr. Skinner, and Mrs. Chapman into my sleigh and went to see the children at the Shakers. We were treated with much coldness and were not permitted to see Elder Seth Wells, whom they said had gone to New Lebanon. James said he would as soon commit suicide, and all the arguments which could be used were not prevailing him to give up his children. Dr. Payne came away with a full determination to carry a petition before the House of Assembly, and accordingly did, as he was at the time a member of the House. Signed, Peter Penfold. Mr. Wells, to whom was the oldest daughter bound?
I cannot say.
Can that be possible? When the child said that Elder Seth held her hand to sign the indenture.
The child was mistaken.
Where's Mr. Chapman? Where are the children?
I cannot
Did
say.
you take your wagons or horses or sleigh?
I cannot
How could
say.
Mr. Chapman take the children from your meeting house without your knowing of it?
I cannot say.
It is impossible. You cannot take a horse or a carriage and run off without the elder's knowledge.
The only knowledge I knew was that James had hired a particular house for his family, but Eunice ungratefully rejected the offer.
He did not know that for certain. Sir, may I explain?
Proceed.
My name is Derek Vita, and I lived amongst the Shakers for 16 years. I left 2 years ago, but I was amongst the Shakers when James Chapman came to live amongst them. He said that he was immediately embraced, and he was. He said his wife was industrious, she was a prudent housekeeper, but yet when he left them, he had nothing but scornful things to say about them. Even more importantly, it came to my attention that he had not hired a home for the family, leaving them helpless. It greatly displeased the elders and myself especially.
He has a bias against our society.
Why so he lived with you for 16 years?
I merely state my observations. Eunice Chapman is correct in her assumptions and assertions to this committee, as was the manner of their conduct.
Mrs. Chapman's statements are trickery! Can't you see she's a liar? Evil, I say! There's malice in her eyes. Hey, you will not hear my warnings any longer. It's too late.
That is not true.
These women are liars, if I may say so.
Eunice and I speak from a place where only truth stands, unlike others here.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Geddes, but those statements do no justice from a woman.
Our points do no justice. I've taken more roads to be where I stand today than have been created by man. And you say our sacrifices of daylight, moonlight, energy, and tears do not account for anything.
She erupts once and for all.
Miss Chapman, please settle yourself. This has been a burden on all of us. Well, I know the lady sitting yonder is the name of Mrs. Geddes.
Pardon?
Before Miss Chapman spoke, you acknowledged the woman as Mrs. Geddes. Well then, no answer? Miss Geddes, if you may, we would kindly hear your view.
My name is Catherine Geddes, and I lived with the Shakers from age 10 to 20 years, during which time I saw sick children treated quite inhumanely. The elders and the eldresses dined on the most sumptuous food, while the youth were forced to accept the most ordinary. And the Shakers were quite irrational in their punishments. To this I can strongly attest.
Is there a specific time the eldresses were harmful?
Yes, indeed. 3 young women water Watervliet had observed 2 houseflies copulating on the windowsill. Well, the elders and the eldresses decided that they had satisfied their carnal inclinations, and the young girls witnessing this act meant that they needed to be punished.
And what was this punishment, Mrs. Geddes?
The girls were forced to whip one another naked, and they did so until one of them cried out that she could not stop the blood and she was being murdered.
I see. And to clarify once more, you did witness this at this time?
Yes, I did. And unfortunately, try as I have over these many years, I can never forget.
The trial continued for 2 months. Although many praised the Shakers for their industriousness, their craftsmanship, and their sincere love of God, there were few, if any, who criticized Eunice and her plight. At the conclusion, the Senate committee proposed a resolution that would be expedient and proper to pass a law declaring Eunice Chapman divorced from the marriage contract for her husband, and also declaring that all persons having families and who shall hereafter attach themselves to the society of the Shakers shall be considered as civilly dead, that their estates shall be disposed of as though they were really dead, and rendering them forever thereafter incapable of taking away any estate, real or personal, by inheritance. After the trial, life seemed to slow down for Eunice. Her bill was postponed due to first internal conflicts in the Senate and then numerous vetoes over and over. By 1817, 3 years after Eunice had returned to her home to find her children taken by James Chapman, her bill was finally reconsidered. She managed to gather enough courage and enough support in the Senate that by March, the Act for the Relief of Eunice Chapman was now a law. She would have her divorce from James Chapman, and soon she would have custody of her children. She immediately left for Enfield, New Hampshire, to fetch the family that James had taken.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. To you, James Chapman, and to all the society throughout the land, if you do not give up my children.
I think it's a pity that these United States are so reduced as to be stirred up by an old woman running up and down the streets like an angry bird.
I've written a great deal about you and made less flattering comparisons, and I will write a great deal more about you and the authorities if you do not give up my children. What I have proposed to do, that I will accomplish. Bring my children forth. You cannot stop me now.
How do you do?
I have your old pocketbook. Remember the leather?
I shall leave my money for my mother.
If that is your demand, then it will be met. Oh, you've aged so much. Do you forget me? No. Mother, how do you do? Susan! My Susan. Oh, and this must be my Julia. How do you do? We're leaving. Would you like to follow me now?
We prefer to reside here with the brothers and sisters.
Now, you shouldn't say such things. After all of this trouble I've been...
But we speak from our own hearts. We like it here.
They're even letting us live in a private house soon. Because of our dedicated faith. Why would we ever want to leave now? A private house?
Yeah, up on that hill yonder.
Come, girls. Come, George.
This won't happen again. I have the law with me and the people.
What are these people?
And why did they end? Just how is formed
What do they want with us?
a conference with James Chapman? Why has God done this to us? Why did he bring him to our door?
We have a compromise. Let the woman have her 2 children, and you take the boy.
I'd rather tie my children to a log and set them adrift down a river than give them to this crazy woman. You don't know who she really is.
Oh, we believe Eunice.
Yeah,
And we believe in Eunice.
of course we do.
The New York State Legislature would never have come to the aid of a woman unless she had been unfairly treated.
Mr. Chapman, when I was married to you, you were respectable. However, now I am an unprotected wanderer and expected to wander until I obtain my children. You may have some claim to my son, but not to my daughters.
As a father, I have a right to all of my children.
Come on, don't.
James will make no further statements. He has said more than he needs to.
James, I have a warrant for your arrest.
Look what you have done to me.
This arrest is not done on behalf of Eunice. It is due to a conflict with a woman named Mary Dyer. Oh, there's no need to lose yourself in confusion. You know why.
Well, I don't. And you shall not arrest him on these premises without informing us as to why you bind him in shackles.
Let me have simply put it. While James was living in the Shaker Society, some of his actions became violent. With Mary Dyer, for instance, he forcibly dragged the anti-Shaker protester from your meeting house and into the street, tearing her gown. She reported this harassment to me thereafter.
Yeah.
No Shaker would ever do such a thing. This is absurd.
No, ma'am, this is true. I could arrest James for the distresses caused to both Eunice's family and the Shaker community. However, this would lead to more trials and crowds. Today, the Shakers are now only known for the wrongs they have done instead of the positive contributions that they made into our world. I would hope that this arrest away from Eunice's conflict would shed some light on overwhelming negative light that you Shakers have painted and further give Eunice peace of mind.
Where are the children?
Catherine, welcome.
The sheriff will be back to get them if you will not help.
Look what you did. You ruined our society, and so did Eunice. You should both be ashamed. You betrayed us.
I cried for your aid and you never helped. I thought God taught us to prioritize love and assistance, but you never did good actions for him or I. You betrayed us both, but I never betrayed you.
It's done, my children. It's done. Let's go home for good.